Welcome to Nkosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you may be. Welcome to Nkosi Talk Shows. If it is your first time at Nkosi Talk Shows, we talk about all different subjects from all walks of life. And please subscribe to our channel if it is your first time. And at Nkosi Talk Shows, we also help you to find your own voice and lead from within. With me today is Carol Ann Cooper. Please introduce yourself to our audience, Carol Ann.
Lovely, thank you, Nomsa. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is I support women in becoming more productive with their writing by connecting them with their deeper innate ability to write. But more importantly, they experience free-flowing writing. They experience an unlocking of the writer within and getting their story written. Because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol Ann. So our topic today is how to improve your communication skills. Carol Ann, you chose this topic, and there are some specific people basically that feel that when whatever they are doing in life, they have to improve their communication skills, and basically it is required as well, like as a speaker or wherever you go, just to improve your your speaking, because you'll be communication skills, because you'll be speaking to different people and a different audience, or even with the family as well. So you have to learn communication skills so you don't get misunderstood. And so what made you choose this topic, Carol Ann?
I just saw it there and I thought, oh yeah, that's a good one. Because so often things get misinterpreted.
Yeah.
And especially when you're writing a text or sending a message, and then somebody replies and you're going, oh, that's not what I meant, you know. So there's a lot to communication, and I know that over the years it's something that I've had to develop more, and one of the key things that's been there is actually listening. And I sort of really became aware of how much I was in my head when I was listening, trying to think of a reply.
Yeah.
Sort of thinking like, well, what could I say? You know, what could I say? When you're doing that, you're not listening to the other person. And so what I've now come to learn is that there's hearing and there's listening.
Yeah.
And hearing, you just hear. It's a passive activity. You cannot, you know, not sort of hear. I mean, if your ears are working and they're functioning, you're able to hear. You'll hear the sounds, you'll hear what's being said. But listening requires you to think about the words that are being said. What is that person actually saying? And that is truly listening. And your mind is clear of any other thoughts about what you're going to say or what you want to add into the conversation. And it is actually quite a skill, because I'm very aware now of the impact on myself when I'm talking with people. And I find myself faltering. And I've started to realize, I've become aware that actually they're not with me. They're up here in their head. And as soon as I stopped talking, they've jumped in and they started making a suggestion, or they've got their own, what they want to say. And I'm going, that doesn't tie in with what I've just said, But I realize now that I can feel when they're not listening to me, not really listening.
Yep.
When somebody is really listening, my words flow. I can pace myself, and I find that my brain doesn't sort of tighten up. It relaxes. So it's quite an interesting place to get to now. And so it helps me become more aware of, well, am I in my head trying to think of an answer, or am I really listening here? And then just opening into what's just been said. And it does shift the relationship when you really listen to somebody. So communication is, as I was saying, that's one huge aspect to communication. And so I read Peter Drucker. The most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said. And that's again another angle on listening, because as you're listening to the words, there's okay, so what actually isn't being said here? And you can feel into it. And again, there's another level of being present to that person. So yeah, I just thought, okay, let's explore what comes up, see where we end up with this conversation. What's your thoughts?
I like it when you say sometimes when you talk to someone, and if they're not listening, you can tell if they're drifting off while you're talking to them, because sometimes maybe they are thinking about the answer, or they are thinking about something else. There are some people who are like that, who when you speak to them, they actually don't process the information. They want to tell you, they want to basically give you the answer, but sometimes you just want them to listen. For me, basically, when somebody comes and talk to me, I don't give advice. I have to basically listen very carefully and see whether what is the message is very, very important. What is being said, and this person and my response as well is very, very important. It's simple. Some people, they communicate with you because you are there and they want you to listen, or they are going through stress, and they just want someone to talk to. Not necessarily they need an advice, and the conversation flows when you listen to someone as well. I agree with you. And I when you say listen to what is being said, I had when I saw this topic, I just laughed, because I had a very, very complicated situation with my client a few days ago. So she had gone to other matchmakers and registered and paid her money, but she didn't get the results that she wanted. So she was asking me questions as a matchmaker. My company, she's asking me questions. So I was like, I have to be really, really careful with what I say. In my heart, I was like, I have to be really, really careful with how I reply this thing, because I don't want to say something that is going to look negative, because I'm a matchmaker as well, and I also don't want to protect someone if they are wrong. So I had to ask deep questions to actually understand what went on. And in the end, it came out that the matchmaker, I think she didn't have a client. And instead of telling her that I don't have a client, because when somebody sign up, you say, you're gonna pay this much for this introduction. But some matchmakers are naughty. They say they can easily send the family members. So I've had so many people coming from same agency telling me that they feel that I think they're sending their own family. So this girl, she put me on the spot. Basically, when she was explaining, she said, "Can you tell me when you are matching me, what is the process?" So I tell her the process, and she goes, "But how come this person matched me, and she did this, she did this, she did this?" So I was like, okay, now I don't know what to say. So I was like, I think every company has different rules. So I said to her, we all have different principles. When we set our own companies, we have different principles when it comes to the company. And I said to her, if you read my contract, for me, basically everything is transparent in my contract. I can't go around and come back to you and say this is what is going to happen and this is what. So for me, my company, everything is transparent. So I said to her, I'm not sure why that happened, but I can't give you the answer. So in the end, I said to her, just give me the name of the agency. I'll do some research for you and find out whether is it a reputable agency or not. So, and then that's how it ends. But she was going deep. We spent half an hour. She was so stressed, half an hour, trying to understand how matchmaking work. Because in the end, basically, I said to her, listen, we just come out of lockdown. Can you stop paying people money? Because you are a woman. Other agencies, there are other agencies that you can register for free. Women register for free in the UK, and my agency is one of them, and the other ones in America that they serve international. So I said to her, can you stop? Can we just agree that you're gonna stop spending money for now until everything goes back to normal? I said to her, listen, there are people out there who wants to use a matchmaker, but now everything has been lifted, which is we are going back slowly. You were paying money during lockdown and you've not had any results that you wanted. So I said to her, let's just say for today, stop paying people money. So that's how it ended. And I was like, I said, this has no negotiations. I said to her, you can't pay somebody keep paying £10,000 and not getting the results that you want. So I said to her, can you wait paying this £10,000 and just stand still, maybe 1 month or 2 months, and see whether I help you or the other agencies. Basically, she had gone and registered to another agency, and which is free. And she had come to me and she said, but sometimes when you do things for free, you don't get the results that you want because you're not going to be a priority. So I said to her, listen, you come to me for help. I will help you. I'm not going to save you based on you didn't pay. I don't charge women, that's it. So I'm going to serve you because you fit my clients. You fit the criteria of my clients. So the communication, basically, she was distressed and she wanted that clarification. But for me, basically, I was like, I think the best way, because you've been giving everybody money and you're asking me advice about their company, their what. So with the thing that I'm going to give you now is let's stop paying people money. I said to her, I can't comment on other agencies because I don't want to comment and then I say bad things about other people. So I said to her, so I'm going to comment on you now. Stop paying money. I will help you. The other company will help you.
Yeah, and I like the way you know, you weren't willing to comment on another company, because that has no credibility for you. Then you know, and this is where I'm not happy when I hear other people putting other companies down, because that doesn't help you. That doesn't help you shine
No.
in a good light at all. And but I love that you were, you know, listening to her, and yeah, but that
Oh yeah,
part about
in
when
the
you
end, the
couldn't
person, yeah.
yeah.
In the end, I was like, I don't know what to say with this situation, but I'm not going to comment on somebody else's business, because she's a client. She could easily go back and say something about my business. So I was like, the best solution here is you stop paying people money. And she was like, why do you say that? I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. We come out of lockdown, and people are not sure. They just want that we're going to summer now, things are going to be clear, and also the virus will go down because of the weather. So just stop paying money for 1 month or 2 months, and you just wait. And she actually registered with good agencies, big agencies that took her for free, but she still does not sure whether they're gonna help her. So I said to her, you're just gonna have to stop, because paying somebody 15 grand or 10 grand and you don't get the results, but you get the amount of days that you've signed the contract and still don't get the results that you want. That's not a solution. For me, basically what I do, if I take somebody's money, let them sign the contract. I don't tell them that if I don't manage to help them when the contract is finished, they will stay. I don't tell them that, but when they do, they stay. Depend with the behavior, they stay. I don't let them go. So that's how I work.
Yeah. So yeah, so it's giving her that opportunity to just settle things down.
Yeah.
She clearly had quite a few concerns. There's something clearly bothering her.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah. So again, it's being able to listen in a way that you're hearing what she's not saying.
Yeah.
Rather than what she is saying, because there's stuff going on underneath.
Yeah.
And I love the way, you know, and sometimes you don't know what to say. So it is about just stopping, breathing, and then just being open and honest. You know, as you were, it's like, well, whatever you can reply, you reply, but it is about being honest about, well, I don't know right now. I will find out or make another suggestion.
Yeah.
So it's not about just suddenly blurting something out for the sake of it, because here's the question, I've got to answer it.
Yeah.
It's about stopping, thinking about what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And say, you know, and be honest. And just focusing on, well, what is going on for that other person. And sometimes it's also about looking at their body language, because it's not about what they're saying. It's about how they're holding themselves. How they're looking at you. Are they looking straight at you? Are they avoiding you? Are they sitting cross arm like this? It's like that's completely closed when they got arms crossed. Are they open? So it's just looking at how they're holding themselves, but also something else in communication is just looking at their eyes. Where are their eyes going as they're talking? And because if they tend to be going up and looking up, then they're looking to create a picture, or they're looking for visual references. So are your words actually related to visual things? Are you sort of saying to them, well, what do you see? Tell me what you're seeing, you know? Are you actually saying, well, tell me what you think? What are you thinking? Well, if somebody's creating pictures and seeing pictures in their head, there are no words. And so there's no communication. Doesn't land. And so there's nothing, coming together there. So if they're looking side to side, then they're thinking, they're looking, they're hearing words. And if they're looking down, if they sort of glance down, they're in their emotions. So there it's like, well, what are you feeling? And so really match your words with where you see their eyes go. Because sometimes when I've asked somebody a question, I just notice where their eyes have gone, and I will follow up with another question. And if their eyes have popped up, gone up, like just looked up, and I go, okay, so what was that you just saw? Or what are you seeing? And the answers come out. Especially if they say, well, I can't explain it. And that for me, there's a clue. When I see their eyes going up, I'm thinking, oh, they've got a picture, but they're struggling to find the words. So you just say, well, what do you see? And all of a sudden, words start coming out. The communication has connected. And it's really amazing how people will then start saying, oh, how did you know? Or it feels like you're with me, or you're understanding me. There's that connection. They feel gotten. They feel heard. They think, oh, this person's understanding me. They can see that you're with them, So that is a huge part of communication, being able to connect and really be with that other person. But there's also, sometimes we can think that we've said something, and actually part of our communication is missing. We've missed out certain relevant criteria. And I know I've been, I want to say bad at doing that, great at doing that, let's rephrase it. Because in my head, I've got a picture and I'll start talking. But then I've realized, oh, I've actually missed out. I've made an assumption the person can see in my head, so I don't know what it is. It's crazy. But the response that I get, I realize that actually I've made an assumption that I have fully explained it, or that they've gotten what I've said. And so it is being aware that you are fully explaining or everything, and not going all the way around the houses, because sometimes going round and round and taking a long time to get to the answer can be really, really frustrating. And I know my mum used to be very good at going round and round the houses, and it was something that I realized that I was always doing. And people say, oh, just get to the point. And I used to find it really hard to get to the point, be direct. It's like, oh, no, I've got to dodge, go round and round. I love you laughing, because it's true. And people say, no, just be direct. And I'm thinking, I can't do that. So I've worked on that, and I'm getting better at it. I can now be much more direct and to the point. And it's amazing how much more quickly conversation flows and moves on, So I don't know how what about you, Nomsa? Are you direct to the point, or do you go around the houses? I can't hear you.
I used to go around the bush.
Yeah.
But now, if I want to communicate something, I'll just go around and go around. But now I just have to straight to the point and explain it, whatever that might be, and see whether the person will listen. But normally, sometimes, I've realized that, when you're communicating with someone, people will give you the advice, but that's not necessarily what you're looking for, or you just want to basically communicating with someone and people are making like assumptions and stuff. So when I speak to someone, I was talking to my friend the other day, and she's very, very distressed. I could hear her in her voice, and I said to her, we're talking, and she made a promise to do things for the kids and stuff. And I said to her, don't you think you need to actually get better first, and then you can think about going shopping for the kids and stuff? Because she normally buys things for them. And I said to her, I know you promised them, but don't you think you need to get better? And she was like, oh no, I'm fine when you made a promise to someone. But I was like, but what if that someone, that present is not well, and that person needs to get better first? And she was like, yeah, I do need to get better. I could see basically in her voice that she's basically not good. And she lost her mom not long ago, and her brother basically was playing professional basketball, and he just woke up, he's dead. He was alive going to bed, and they get up in the morning, the man is dead. So she's not in a good place. So, you know, like sometimes when you are stressed, you have to focus on that. Sometimes I used to do that when I'm really, really stressed. I will start thinking about other things. And so I said to her, just get better first. We need to get better. And then you can think of other things, because you can't take good care of people if you yourself would need care. She's basically worrying about the kids, that she made a promise as an auntie that she's my best friend. I've known her for a long time, so they call her auntie, and she made a promise that I'm gonna put some money, you girls can go shopping, but she's not going around it to basically sit down and think and transfer the money. I said, I don't think it's the money that these kids will be wanting. I think they'll be wanting you to get better. And then you can spoil them. I said to her, just get better. And so all those things that, you know, when you speak to someone and you know that person very well, and they are communicating with you, and you've never seen them in that state, it worries you that, okay, now you need to take good care of yourself. So it's like, for me, basically, I'm somebody that when someone is my friend, or if I know that person very well, that in order for you to help me, you've got to help yourself first, and then you'll be able to help me. You can't help me if you are not looking after yourself. So that's why I teach my friends that you look after yourself first, and then you'll be able to look after me. And based on the communication, and like what you were saying, Carol Ann, that you have to, like you were talking about the body language, explaining the body language is very, very important as well when you talk to somebody, and to have eye contact and making sure that your response, this person, they are being heard, because sometimes people can feel that you are not paying attention to them. So make sure that when you speak to them, they are not actually communicating by themselves, or they are communicating and you're busy doing other things and not really listening. And for me, basically with my clients, when I talk to them, sometimes I laugh and I'm like, can you repeat what you just said? And because when they're talking, they're telling me something negative. So then I'm like, let's listen together. Can you say what you just said step by step and pay attention to your words? And they're like, this is like, it's not right, is it?
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Or sometimes, you know, you see these beautiful girls and they are criticizing themselves, and I'm like, okay, can you just stop what you just said? I'm not going to correct you, but I want us, both of us, to actually listen to the conversation. And you find that this person is somebody that a man will want to spend the rest of their life with, but because when you have been with the wrong person, you just believe that no one is going to want you, but that's not true. So when it comes to those kind of things, sometimes, you know, as like, if I was a judgmental person, if you were a judgmental person, you wouldn't find the truth. Like when this person was my client, when she was talking to me, I would have simply judged the agency, even though they were wrong, and not basically getting to the truth, but I just let her keep explaining so I can actually, but then in the end, I realized that she's actually paying because she's thinks that her biological clock is running out. And
Oh,
she's young,
yeah.
she's beautiful, she's got a good job. So that is the story. In the end, I was like, oh my goodness, please don't. And then I was like, for what you just said, please don't stop paying, because you're gonna stop paying, you're gonna keep running and saying my biologically clock is running out, But what you need to do is stop, basically. You just pause for a minute. I said to her, you pause when you feel that way. Why do you feel that way? She's younger than me, very, very young. And for me, in that age, I was like, I was enjoying my life and not thinking about my biological clock. I, I think it's our society,
Yeah.
Kero Ann.
Oh gosh, bless her. And I think there's the underlying what's not being said there,
Yeah,
and something I'd sort of might have asked her would be, well, whose voice are you hearing when you say those words? Because that's a learned thought. There's something deeper going on, and so it's being able to really understand your communication to yourself.
yeah,
Where is it coming from?
yeah.
Because with a thought like that, there's clearly something that she's heard, or from maybe parents or other people, or family, and it's got
Oh
stuck.
yeah,
Something
she
happened,
did say. I did find
and
out. She said
yeah,
it's family.
so she's identifying with that,
Yeah,
and it's being able to realize that actually, and then sort of question, well, is this actually the truth? Is my biological clock actually running out? But until you catch the truth, or where that belief has come from, what you're saying to yourself, and then start looking at it, will you then start be able to maybe reframe it, or let it go, or transform it in some way?
yeah,
But until she does that, that will run her life. It doesn't matter what anybody says to her.
yeah,
However much you say to her, well, you're young, beautiful, you've got time, that thought will just block anything else that's said.
yeah,
So it's being able to hear what she said and recognize that actually that's come from somewhere else. And it's then in helping her to understand that, where that communication's come from, and be able to start communicating to herself in a different way. So it then opens up, possibilities. So, wow, yeah, it's amazing. So it is looking at what you're saying to yourself, listening to what you're saying to yourself, and seeing it, and then sort of questioning the truth of it, because how you communicate to yourself also impacts how you communicate with other people. And so part of improving your communication skills is about improving how you communicate to yourself.
yeah,
And also, how do you listen to yourself? Your body even. We're so good at ignoring what our body is telling us, with the aches, the pains, emotions that go on. And because I love what Brandon Bayes teaches, which is that pain is only an emotion. So what's the emotion? And you dive into that. And when you explore that and come to a place of healing with that and forgiveness, the pain goes. You know, it's amazing how something can shift like that when you really start talking to it, listening to it. And so if you can give that attention and level of communication to yourself, then that allows for others to also have that, give that same level of attention and communication to you as well. So it's recognizing where you have the power here to either block people listening to you or to actually receive their listening and allow them to listen to you. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about. So maybe it's something, you know, you might just have an awareness of. Do you really listen to yourself and your body? Do you take notice or do you ignore it? Do you hand it over to somebody else and say, well, tell me what's wrong?
Yeah.
And then wonder why, where they say, well, try this or try that. And it doesn't actually work that well.
Yeah.
Or you don't actually follow through. You know, it's like with a diet, you want to lose weight. So you go and talk to somebody, they say, well, try this diet, or you need to do this diet. So you do, but you don't follow through. Whereas if you actually listened to your body and said, well, what is this weight here for? For what reason do I have this weight? And look at what you're eating and start talking to your body about it. And go to your own inner wisdom. You will suddenly find as you shift things, you will automatically find the diet that will suit you, that helps you to lose that weight. And you will stick to it. And if you suddenly find yourself falling off, you'll be able to catch it and go, okay, so what's going on here right now? And I know that for myself because I've realized that just at the weekend, I found myself just eating food that it was way too much for me. And I felt really bloated, but at the end of it, I said, oh, what am I doing? And I knew that I was doing it at the time. And the result was, felt really uncomfortable, very bloated stomach. And so I just went in and just started to say, well, what drove me to do that? Because there was an underlying driver there. And I found something that just I needed to work with and explore and then let go of. And now I've shifted into feeling more comfortable with not eating those foods. Just naturally, I've shifted my eating, what I'm eating, and what I'm enjoying and wanting and looking forward to eating now. And that's made quite a difference. So yeah, just listening, communicating. There's all different levels, isn't there? Different dimensions, different angles, different aspects. It's and it is a skill. It is a skill that we need to learn. And where is it? I read it somewhere. Oh yes, Brian Tracy says, communication is a skill that you can learn. It's like riding a bicycle or typing. If you're willing to work at it, you can rapidly improve the quality of every part of your life. So it's working at it. And that is the key, is recognizing where communication isn't working to the best for you. And where is your life not got the quality that you want it to have? Your relationships, your business, your health, wealth, all parts of your life. And it's down to communication. And again, communication that you are putting out to the universe. You say, I want this. And it was, you will get something come to you, but it might not be exactly what you thought you wanted because you weren't specific enough. But the universe always responds. So again, it's about being really specific in your requests. What do you think, Nomsa?
I think being specific, like Carol Ann, when you say you had to work on make a decision how you're gonna eat and basically create your own strategy. No one actually came to you and saying you need to do this, or you can either get professional help, but it was your decision. And when you communicate with yourself and you make that decision that actually my eating habit is no good, so I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to create a plan and do that. And I think that is amazing. Not so many people are able to be honest within themselves, because the reason why sometimes people don't never come to you looking for an honest answer. They want you to tell them what they want to hear. It's like if somebody, it's like my children sometimes, they ask me a question and then I reply and they're like, that is so mean. How rude is that? And I'm like, but I'm giving you an honest answer. My youngest came, she was like, what do you think about my handwriting? I was like, there could be an improvement there. I can't even read what you've written. And she goes like, Mommy, how rude. So it's like, when you ask me a question. So she's working now on improving her handwriting. And and yesterday they were dancing. She did her dance because normally they are really good. My oldest one, she's injured at the moment. So the youngest one, the 6-year-old one, she was dancing. So they're being selected for medal test. So she didn't seem like she knew she was sure about the dance. So I said to her, I think we need a video and do some private lessons so you can know the dance very well when the times comes for you in 4 weeks to dance. And all the parents, they are looking at me. I'm like, I have to tell the truth, because if I tell my daughter that her teacher is not doing the job, she's not gonna work hard. So I have to tell her that she needs to work hard if she wants me to pay for her to go and dance. And working hard, it means you need to practice at home and you need to go and get private lessons and practice. So I'm not going to lie to her and say this, and everyone is looking at me. And I was like, the kids didn't seem to have an idea. And one of the parents came to me and she agreed. She goes, yeah, actually, that is true. They didn't seem to be sure. I think they are sure about the dance when they're with the teachers, but when you're on stage on your own, so they need more and more practice. So for me, my children always give me an advice, and I'm like, if you ask me for an honest advice, you're gonna get that honest advice, because I don't want you to go and start blaming somebody else. So when I say that, they always say, how rude is that?
Perhaps you ought to start teaching them some other questions to ask.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to, if they're, instead of saying, well, you know, just asking for your opinion on it and thoughts, maybe sort of say, well, what did you like about what I've just done? And what could be improved.
Yeah.
And that way then you can be honest, you know.
It's like my daughter, the one who is 15, she'll go and buy a top that has cleavage, and then she'll come and ask me, and I'll be like, it would be a little bit better if it was a little bit showing less boobies. It's just like, how rude is that? So I'm like, we have to learn to communicate the truth.
Yes.
But when I say those words, sometimes, you know, when you're being honest with someone and not criticizing them or judging them, just talking to them, and they pretend not to hear, but they do, because sometimes she'll go and say, Mommy, you'll be really pleased with me. You'll be very, very proud of me. I'm like, what happened? It's like, I bought a top, a nice top, or bought a dress. It does not show anything. I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes
Yeah.
like when you like what you're saying, that you need to basically recognize the power of receiving and being in that present moment. It is nice that you, when you're speaking to somebody and being in the present moment, and also like myself, I look at my behavior, when somebody they're not in the right place, or they're not into personal development, I always look at myself for how I was, instead of judging that person when they are communicating me or getting frustrated and saying, why can't they change their behavior and what? I always hold on to hope when I pray that if I can change, that means they can change. I always hold on to that hope that it is beautiful when somebody decide, like when they communicate with you and they decide they want to change their own behavior, not you judging them or telling them what they are doing is not right. So I normally give advice, but my advice is like, you know what, you have to do the right thing when the time says, like when Nomsa says, I want to do the right thing. I always tell them that when you make a decision with something, when I'm communicating with them, and that decision, you're making mistakes. The beauty part of it is when you correct that mistake, and when you look back and not like blaming yourself, and when you look back and look where you've been, it is an amazing thing. Because sometimes people communicate with you and they want to blame themselves for where they are, or they want to blame themselves that things are not working, or they are not doing enough of what they're meant to be doing. So I always stay in the present moment, and I'm like, I am not gonna tell you what you're not doing right, but I'm just gonna tell you the things that I always give books, the things that I've did that helped me. I always say, have you ever read this book, or have you ever done this? If you haven't, maybe one day you should.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing there's a lot of focusing on the solution rather than the problem. And
yeah,
what I loved,
sometimes, Carol, and sometimes the people will come back to you and asking the same thing, and tomorrow they'll be asking you the same thing, and they want you to tell them something negative, and when you say something, and then they'll start saying, oh, she's not very nice. So it's like with my work, like here at Ngozi Talk Show, you know how I work. It's like, it's a freedom. You're free, you know, you can do the things that basically, as long as it serves the audience. So that's how I am. It's like the solution. So I always say, have you ever done this? Have you ever done this? This is what has helped me, but I don't know if it's gonna help you or not. So and sometimes somebody will be like, because when you push somebody, they go away. So you want to give a room for them to come back whenever they have problems. They come back and communicate with you.
Yeah, you don't shut the door.
Yeah.
It's just like, let them go. And if they're meant to come back, they will. What I loved was you saying about videoing your daughter with her dance.
Yeah.
Because that's the best way that she can actually then see how she needs to improve.
Yeah.
Because no amount of somebody telling her, it's not always going to go in.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can show her what she's doing, and she can then see for herself, it will help her to then hear the communication.
Yeah.
And if you get in, somebody else to support her and tutor her on that, again, that she'll be able to hear what they're saying. But I mean, if you look at other people that get coaches, football players, tennis players, dancers, ice skating dance, people, they always video themselves, and their coach, they then look back over it to see, because they can't see, because they can only feel where they're at. But when they can actually see it, and their coach can talk them through it as well, then you get the communication. It's really powerful, to be able to see it for yourself. So yeah, well done. That's great encouragement, because again, it's giving your daughter a way of being able to improve herself, and it's not being totally reliant on the teacher.
Yeah.
And that again is something that I think we've come to rely on. Well, it's the teacher's job to do it all. They've got to tell us, they've got to keep correcting us. Well, actually, no, that's only part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's not their job. Their job is to teach you the skills, the techniques, the moves, how to dance, and improvements. But your job is to then take that on board, but also keep asking yourself, how can I improve? What is it that's not working here? Am I doing the best I can? Is it how it's supposed to be? In what other ways can I find out, or can I improve? Constantly opening up and expanding your thoughts about how you can improve on what you're doing. So again, and that comes down to communication and being willing and open to listening to what other people have to say. And again, you don't have to take it as gospel.
Yeah.
It's about being open with your listening, hearing what's being said and going, okay, does that work for me?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Does that work for me? Yeah. It's not about being pushed around by people saying. It's about being able to be your own person.
Yeah.
Listen, dance in a conversation, ask questions, rather than just taking what the other person's saying. Ask questions, find out more, dive in, really get to understand, well, what are they saying? Where are they coming from? What makes them say that? And something that Anthony Robbins says is, to effectively communicate, we must realize that we are all different in the way we perceive the world, and use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others.
Yeah.
And it's remembering that other people have got different ways of seeing things, thinking about things, so understand that. And again, your communication will change. It's not a case of, well, they should be thinking the same way as me. This is how I say it, this is how I see it, this is how it is.
Yeah.
Boom. Can you feel that block of communication?
Yeah.
Immediately. The only people that will ever hear you are those that think and feel and see in exactly the same way as you.
Yeah. I was talking to my oldest. I always say to my oldest daughter, because she used to, when they're teaching her the dance, her teachers are so good. So she will learn the dance really, really perfectly. And I'll be watching and she'll be like, Mommy, what do you think? I'll be like, it's so perfect. But then the fun is not there anymore. So I'm like, dance it perfect, but know that you have your culture, you've got your English culture and your African culture. Mix that culture together. It means give me some fun. So I was like, it's too English. It's too English. And my daughter would be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, give me some fun. It's too serious. Give me some fun. But I see her when she goes on stage now, she's not worried about the steps. She
Ah,
has fun because you know when children are being taught something, they focus on
mm,
making it so perfect that
yeah.
it takes the funny away. So I always tell her, give me some fun as well. If you make the steps perfect and the fun is no longer there anymore, but give me some
Mm,
funny as well, and she'll be like, and when she goes on stage, it means that she just has so much fun. And
oh,
you can see that when she goes, she really enjoys her dance. And when she comes out,
mm,
she's like, there's a time in the last one, I think she forgot her dance. No one had a clue. I didn't have a clue that dancing. I saw her dance teacher looking at them each other, and they were like, "That's not how it goes." She was actually having fun in a way. She actually came first. And then her teacher, I was looking at the other teacher, they were like, that's not how the dance goes. What is
yeah.
that? What is she doing? But whatever she's doing is fun.
Okay, yeah,
so
yeah.
so
I,
it's
I think
something
it's,
that I taught her, Carol Ann, that when you do
mm,
something, even if you make a mistake, just have fun with it.
yeah.
Because if you focus on all these perfection, it gets boring.
Mm, mm. It's
But
about bringing you into it. Because what
yeah,
I was hearing was
yeah,
that she was so focused on getting it right
yeah,
that her whole being, her different cultures of who she is
yeah,
were lost. Who she, where is she in all of this?
yeah,
Okay, the steps are perfect,
yeah,
the dance is perfect, but where is she? And so yes, it is bringing her to that. And once you've got the fluidity of it, just being able to do it, which I heard you say, she can now do the dance without thinking,
yeah,
so much. She can bring herself to it, and that's where it comes alive, isn't it? And that's the fun, because it's come alive. And I think this is where bringing fun to it
yeah.
sometimes isn't actually fun, because people misinterpret what fun is. For me, it's actually about just being alive.
Yeah.
There's something fun that just in being alive just comes
Mm.
out, and so being yourself, allowing you to be you and express yourself,
Yeah.
whether it be through dance, whether it be through music, through singing, through talking, through writing. It's about being yourself
Yeah.
and letting you really express yourself. And yes, okay, you in writing, yes, there's grammar, there's punctuation, there's spelling, because if you don't spell correctly, then it's like, well,
I always,
the communication doesn't come in.
I always rely on you when I'm posting something. I'm like, she's gonna correct me. Yeah,
Because it's
she's
like, well,
gonna.
what's that saying? That doesn't make sense. Those words just what? So there is an element of that, of getting those basics, and actually, if you're a handwriting as well, being able
Yeah,
to form the letters and write, so it's legible. And once you get those basics, just bringing you into it, just allow yourself to write, to flow, and there's something that just then comes through that
yeah,
is communicated. And it's not necessarily about the words of what you're saying. There's something else energetically that just comes through, that's alive. And that's what touches people. And that's when you get great communication. Because if you can touch the other person and bring them alive, then they're with you. They're like,
yeah,
ooh, they hear you, they see you, they can feel what you're saying, what you're communicating, and that is beautiful. That's so beautiful. So yeah, just again, it comes down to the knowing yourself, knowing what it is you want to communicate, knowing who you're communicating to, because what is their world? you know, what matters to them, what form of communication matters to them. Because I have a friend who said, don't email me, don't text me. She said, I use WhatsApp. She said, if you use any other way of communicating with me, I won't, you know, answer.
Yeah.
She just uses WhatsApp.
All
Fair
right.
enough. But other people have attempted to text her, email her. They haven't listened to her
Yeah.
communication. And then
Yeah.
they wonder why she's not replying. You know, so it is really being clear for yourself and explaining to other people. But then on the other foot, listening to the communication that's been given
Yeah.
to you. Because
Because we're all
there's your
different as
effective
well. Yeah.
connection. Sorry,
It's
I missed what you
like
said then.
it's like you, Carol Ann. It's like I like people when they see a mistake and communicate it. It's like if I post something, if I've written it incorrect, you always remind me, can you correct that? But some people wouldn't have the courage to actually work as a team, and basically they'll gossip about it. There's other option, they'll gossip about it, not realizing actually it was a mistake, or they wouldn't actually have the courage to say, have a read or go back and read it. Because like sometimes I sometimes I read it. You know, when you read something and on your own, you still need somebody to proofread it as well. So I always like it when you come back and say, I'm like, yeah, it's better to correct it than somebody else read it and then you start judging.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that I learned as well, that actually gossiping about something and complaining to somebody else doesn't change what isn't working.
Yeah.
The only way to change what isn't working is to talk to the person that can do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, and when I heard that, it's like, oh, yeah. I mean, it's such a simple piece of advice, but I hadn't even thought about that, you know. So just go straight to the person that can do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, so again, that's how you can improve your communication skills. Who are you talking to?
I
Are you
know.
talking to somebody that can really do something about it? Or are you just gossiping, talking, you know, and pulling it apart, or not really going anywhere? Or are you talking to somebody who can make a difference and do something about this? So, yeah, there's lots
Yeah.
to communication, isn't there?
You have
And
to.
also, you know, and I know you do and I do, we make notes as we're listening, just jot
Yeah.
things down. And some people may think, well, you're not really listening. Well, actually, that is another form of listening. It's just jotting down key words, key phrases as a reminder, because sometimes the conversation moves on, but you want to come back to that and it just reminds you, so that you can then be completely present with the person
Yeah.
and allow that thought to be on the paper and not in your head. Because that's where you're holding on to, oh, I've got to say this, I've got to talk about this, and you're not really listening.
Yeah, not listening to what
Yeah.
you're saying and not responding to the other person's conversation, and they can feel like, oh, I'm speaking on my own. So
Yeah.
you have to. I basically take notes to respond, and also I take notes to keep them for myself, so I can
Yeah,
go back to them.
absolutely. Yeah,
So,
beautiful.
yeah.
Mm.
Any words of encouragements before we go?
I think go back to something I said earlier, but it's a quote by George Bernard Shaw. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place.
Yeah. The illusion.
Check yourselves for that illusion.
Yeah.
Has your communication actually taken place? What you wanted to communicate, has it actually landed, or has it somehow been misinterpreted? So yeah, I love that. I think that's a great thing to be aware of.
Yeah. Anyway, we are here at Ngosi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, and my words of encouragement basically is what Carol Ann said, understand the power of receiving when someone is communicating with you, and stay focused and respond without giving an advice to them. I find that it always work, and also just be honest. Be as honest as possible. I always say people that sometimes when you ask them questions, they are not really honest. Sometimes I'll buy a dress, or sometimes you ask a question, how does this look? If it doesn't look right, then somebody will say it looks fine, just because they don't want to offend you. If I still feel uncomfortable with the dress and then I take it off and they're like, oh, thank God for that. And I'm like, why did you tell me it was okay? I'm like, why didn't you tell me it didn't look nice in the first place? And they're like, they don't want to offend you. I'm like, okay, then I'm not going to ask no questions. Right? So just be honest. When somebody's communicating with you, me, basically, I like people who are honest. And I think when somebody communicates with you and they're honest, you go further in life. And it's like Des, when you speak to him about business, about anything, he's a very honest person that he'll give you an advice, like what you do this. Then it's up to you, basically, if you want to take that advice. And I find that, like, my business is not perfect, but it's just okay, because when you work with somebody that is honest, and you get further in life. So if somebody is asking you questions, just be honest. And at Ngosi Talk Shows as well, we do have different coaches from all walks of life. Get in touch with them, or just a free consultation. Or if you want to write, writing actually is good for learning communication skills. You can write music, write anything about your business, business writing, anything, writing facilitator, Carol Ann. Just get in touch with her. Get your skills. I've learned so much from Carol Ann.
Oh, bless you.
Honestly, I've learned so much. I've learned so much from you. I like it being a follower, and it's helping me a lot. And being a follower, not too much knowing all. So join my club. Whoever is listening, just be a follower to other people and learn from them. We are here next week. God bless. Have a beautiful weekend. Live with grace.